Hey everyone, this is Tim Taylor with Electric Distribution Academy, also an instructor on HeatSpring, and I just finished a free webinar around distribution system voltages and the impacts that utility scale solar can have on those voltages. And 1547, which is an IEEE standard, has a lot to say about voltages, and I thought I would go ahead and do a short video on what IEEE 1547-2018 is all about. IEEE stands for the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, and it develops and maintains hundreds of standards, including many that are followed by electric utilities. Now, Standard 1547, it was initially developed in 2003, and it was updated in 2018 because of the large number of DER, including solar PV, that are now interconnecting to the electric grid. 1547 only applies to distribution and not transmission. Distribution, there are not voltage levels that are defined in 1547, but it varies according to the utility or co-op or muni that you're working in. With respect to transmission, there is a new standard that was just released, and it is IEEE 2800, and it was just released in May of 2022. 1547 applies to all types of DER, solar PV, or fuel cells, or synchronous machines, what have you. And there are some exemptions for emergency and a standby generation in terms of the different requirements that those types of generators have to follow. There is no size limit. There's no size constraints on what 1547 applies to, and it is focused on individual DER installations rather than the system considerations, for example, for how much DER generation can individual feeders accommodate. That is not included in 1547. It is technology neutral, so that it's focused on capabilities and performance. It does contain requirements, but it's not a specification or an application guide. It is voluntary, but there are many jurisdictions, including state regulators and other bodies, that are starting to make it mandatory for distribution organizations to follow. So you'll see it more and more often in different locations, particularly around the US, but it could be adopted in other countries as well. The major topics in 1547 include abnormal system events, and this is particularly important for the bulk power system, meaning the large-scale generation and transmission system. And a DER needs to have capabilities to ride through these events, and those capabilities are specified, particularly with respect to a voltage and frequency. A voltage control and regulation pertains to the voltage control on distribution, and a DER has had increasing impacts on distribution system voltage, and 1547 specifies different capabilities that DER, including solar PV, needs to have with respect to helping with the voltage control and regulation. A frequency group is related to real power output as a function of frequency and the variation of the DER and its ability to supply real power, either increase or decrease, depending upon whether the frequency has increased or decreased outside a certain bandwidth. Unintentional islanding DER must be able to detect and cease to energize any unintentional islands that are formed, meaning that islands that are created by the distribution feeder or portion of a feeder separating from the substation and the bulk power system. Power quality, the DER has to have capabilities with respect to topics such as DC current injections, voltage fluctuations, current harmonics injections into the system. System grounding and temporary overvoltage, DER must have the capability to provide support to the system and supply the effective grounding so that overvoltages like ground fault overvoltages, load rejection overvoltages are not contributed to or contributed by DER, except within permissible limits as specified in the standard. And then there's some communication interoperability that the DER needs to provide these communication interfaces, and it needs to supply one of three protocols, which are a DNP3, Sunspec Modbus, or IEEE 2030.5. You can go to heatspring.com for more information, including these courses that are hosted by HeatSpring. And HeatSpring hosts a lot of different courses with respect to the emerging green energy economy, whether it be DER and solar PV or batteries or microgrids or smart buildings, many different topics up there. Or you can go to my website, which is electricdistribution.net. Thanks for watching.